What is up, y'all? It's your girl Brand New, and I'm back in the building. And this time, I am coming back at you with a review of Married to Medicine. This is season 5, and this is part 2 of the reunion. So let's get started. So pretty much the episode the reunion starts out with Heavenly. You know, she's really in her feelings. She's crying and she's telling Simone that you and Cecil are what we look to as a perfect marriage, you know. And everybody really looks up to Simone and Cecil from what I'm gathering. And Contessa, did you guys notice her shaking her head? Contessa, why are you shaking your head? And she was shaking her head like she was disappointed in what Heavenly was saying. Bitch, you are new. It was almost like she's upset that Heavenly is in her feelings about what Simone just said about her filing for divorce from Cecil. So I don't know if you guys noticed that. I noticed it and I didn't like that shit. Simone says to Heavenly, we all know there's no such thing as a perfect marriage, and our marriage has went as far as it can go. Simone goes on to say that marriage is a team, and if I cannot continue on with this, if I'm not getting the love and respect that I deserve, Simone kept trying to get into this thing of Cecil has been emotionally unavailable for 10 years. And I'm just sitting up here like, well, why the hell would you stay in a marriage that long? I don't believe that, you guys. I don't believe for 10 years this man has been emotionally unavailable. Now, maybe your last 2 or 3 or maybe possibly 4. But who the hell stays in a marriage for 10 years with somebody that's emotionally unavailable? Like, you haven't been getting your needs met. So what's so different now, you know? Simone continues to say that her and Cecil are on friendly terms. You know, they're still talking, co-parenting, and getting along. Simone also says that she's not going to tie up anybody else's time. And, you know, she's talking about Cecil. And, you know, she just feels like after the blow-up that they had, she had asked him not to leave. She asked him to talk to the counselor, and he refused to. And she had told him if he walked out of that door, you know, after they had their blow up, then it was done. You know, I guess she had told him she was going to file for divorce, and he did it anyways. So her whole thing is, well, what the hell am I supposed to do? But Simone, you need to calm down, because Toya ended up saying to you, oh, but he doesn't want the divorce. And you began attacking Toya like a fucking dog out on the street. You, nah. Y'all, she getting all up in Toya face, talking on some, you can say you don't want a divorce, but if you ain't doing what it takes to save your marriage, then obviously you want a divorce. She's like all up in Toya's face yelling. It wouldn't be me, Simone. You would need to have to back your ass back. Simone needs to, I could tell from looking at Simone needs to go to anger management. I'm going to just tell y'all that. She's worse than Portia. They got Portia in anger management. Simone need to have her ass. Because all that screaming and yelling to get your point across, you too old for that, sis. That's what maybe a 20-year-old or a teenager does. You too fucking old. We get that you feel like you need to get a divorce. I don't feel like everything is all Cecil's fault. She is at fault, definitely. Simone, I knew, and you guys knew too, once they got that North and South house, it was pretty much over because you're always making excuses to be away from your husband. And, you know, and maybe he's doing the same thing as well. So I feel like they are both at fault. But is Simone willing to admit that she needs anger management, that she needs to learn to calm down and stop yelling? So Jackie ends up getting in between Toya and Simone, you know, to try to calm Simone's ass down. Because Simone is just like, if he can't tell me I'm number one, if he can't show me, then I'm done. She's still yelling at Toya. Simone also mentions that she's not going to stay married because of how good it looks. And I feel her on that. It's too many people that care so much about what people think and they stay married, for the hell of it. I don't think they're going to actually end up getting a divorce. I think this is a scare tactic. I think she's on some Tamar Braxton shit, where, she's just filing and trying to, but then again, though, she said the shit'll be finalized in a few weeks, so I don't know, but I feel like she's really trying to scare him. I notice all the other ladies are trying to calm her down and just let her know, but do you really think divorce is the answer? And Simone is just like, yes, I did all that I could do. Supposedly, Cecil has this little golfing buddy that's like a sister to him, is what he says. But Simone thinks that the lady is, she's his best friend, but Simone feels like she's manipulative and, maybe getting in Cecil's ear about her. Andy had asked, do you think that this connection with this woman is sexual? And Simone was like, no, I think that they're friends, but I do feel like the lady is manipulative. Andy asked Jackie, how does she stand on all of this that's going on between Simone and Cecil? And Jackie pretty much stated that they've already talked, her and Simone, so she's already got all the yelling and screaming out of Simone. Bitch, I can't tell. The bitch is still yelling. I think Simone gets really emotional and she can't deal with her emotions. That's where the screaming comes from, but she needs to see somebody for that. Because, honey, you don't want to end up with high blood pressure and shit, But Jackie is just pretty much like, you know what, I've known Cecil before I've known Curtis, so I'm here to support Cecil as well. But, of course, Simone is my best friend, so I'm going to really have her back. So they got Mariah backstage talking to Andy, and her husband is there, Aiden. He's standing off to the side while she's talking to Andy. And Mariah is going on this whole tirade of, well, nobody is supporting me, because it's me that Heavenly did that too. Y'all remember Heavenly drew the little devil's horns and stuff. And how I pretty much feel about that is, yes, Heavenly was wrong. Yes, it was childish and petty for Heavenly to do. But at the same time, it wasn't that big of a deal for Mariah to react. She's very dramatic in that way where she just overreacts to things. But yes, it was fucked up and Heavenly shouldn't have did it. But Mariah, get your ass back on that couch with everybody, girl, and let's continue. You know what I'm saying? So Andy tells Mariah and Aiden that, they should go on back down to join the group because Heavenly may be ready to apologize. And Aiden is talking about how many times does she apologize? She's always talking about Mariah's mother as well. First the fuck all, Aiden, I need you to sit your ass down and stay out of stuff. Mariah goes on live all the time with Mama Lucy and Lake or whoever the fuck her sister is. She's always talking the shit about Heavenly and Quad, so I believe that this is why Heavenly drew the stupid shit on the picture. So your wife is not innocent either. And I don't know if Aiden and Mariah are good for each other because he doesn't tell his wife when she's wrong. You do see Damon telling his wife when she's wrong. Some of the other husbands, Eugene, he'll even say some shit to Toya. Hey, don't say that, don't do, they have that type of relationship where they will check their spouse if they feel like their spouse is wrong, and he don't do that. He's just always on Mariah's side. He never tells her, well, hey, you don't do this because when you do this, this is going to make your castmates react like this. And yes, it's petty, but at the same time, you can't be talking shit about people and not expect nothing in return. So now Andy is talking to all the husbands. So Andy begins talking to Eugene, and he mentions he looks great because of his weight loss, and Eugene looks nice. All of the men look very dapper and handsome in their tuxes, so I'm proud of Eugene that he's lost that weight. Andy asks Curtis how he's been doing, because of everything that's going on with him and Jackie, and Curtis says it's been a rough season, but we are working towards making our marriage better. Next, Andy ends up talking to Cecil and telling him that he knows that Simone has filed for divorce. And he asked Cecil to add to what Simone was telling the group. And Cecil pretty much says, yes, we both did the best that we could, but we both got to the point where we felt like the other wasn't doing enough to save the marriage. So, we decided to go our separate ways. And, it's a really painful time. Aiden begins talking about how hurt and sad he was to hear about Cecil and Simone divorcing, because he really looks up to them. Most of the guys in the group, they look to Simone and Cecil as their role models. Andy asks Cecil about his relationship with his golf buddy, and he says, yes, that's my best friend. Yes, she's a woman, but she's just like my sister, And how do you guys feel about that? Do you feel like it's okay to be in a marriage with somebody that has a little friend on the side that's the opposite sex? Would you be cool with that? Do you feel like this woman may have gotten in the way of Cecil and Simone's relationship? Because it looks like Simone doesn't care for this woman, even though she knows their friendship is platonic. I don't think she cares for this lady or trusts her. So I don't know if Cecil should be friends with this woman if it's getting in the way of his relationship with Simone. Andy asked Curtis how did he feel going into this season. Was he nervous? And Curtis said he wasn't nervous. It was just more or less he was interested in fixing his relationship with Jackie. So he was just trying to figure out the best way to go about doing that. So Andy asked Curtis, was he surprised by any of the comments that the men have made about him cheating on Jackie? Curtis said that all the fellas had something to say at the cigar bar, but the person that stood out the most was that motherfucking Eugene. And I remember Eugene and Toya this whole season, you guys, that kept making comments about how Curtis is so wrong for cheating on Jackie. And yes, he's wrong, but I don't feel like that's their place to be making all these comments. Remember Eugene had said Curtis had committed a flagrant foul, and and he what did he dunked in somebody else's basket, trying to use a little basketball inference on the situation. And I'm just looking like, Eugene, you need to concentrate on paying off your tax debt. And yes, it's paid now, but Eugene, he needs to mind his business. Motherfucker, you got high blood pressure. You need to focus on your motherfucking health. Your wife needs a job. Focus on your shit. I get that they are in this group, but I always felt like Eugene was out of line for that. And Curtis did not appreciate that shit. And Curtis let his ass know, I get you guys have opinions, but at what point do you have an opinion? Your opinion, you keep making these little comments and it turns into you being judgmental, and that's not cool. You're supposed to be my friend. Eugene says in his defense, he saw that their marriage was falling apart and, he was pissed off, but he said it was either him being pissed off or him trying to make a joke out of it. And both were in poor taste, Eugene. And then you sit up here and go on this rant about your moral code. What moral code do you fucking have? You don't even have a moral code for your health and taking care of yourself. You know what I'm saying? You allow Toya, and I don't give a fuck what nobody say. I feel like he kind of allows Toya to control a lot of things. So I just feel like, who are you to judge Jackie and Curtis? He tried to make it look like the cheating was the worst thing that Curtis could have did. And yes, it was bad what he did, but he didn't need all them judgments from you, Eugene, and your shit ain't together. Eugene tries to apologize and says, it wasn't personal. It is personal, Eugene. What the fuck is wrong with you? And Curtis said it was a personal attack and you can't get around that. So Andy asks Dr. G, how is it being married to an alpha female? Greg says it's very difficult being married to an alpha female, and that he said some things about the cheating that he really doesn't believe in, but he felt like Quad had challenged his ego a lot, and, he ended up saying those things. He admitted that he was so angry and frustrated in his own marriage that he was supporting infidelity. This part right here, you guys, Dr. G was wrong, but it was so funny when he said it.
I can understand when a man get when he's supposed to get at the house, how he feel like he needs to do something else.
Andy then talks to Eugene about Toya always letting the world know how he masturbates, and Eugene pretty much clears it up that Toya exaggerates a lot. He said you could tell Toya you masturbated one time and Toya would make it look like it's every day. The way she make it look, I'm just down in the basement, just jacking off every day of my life. Then Dr. Eugene ends up talking about, I guess they got some question from online, and Dr. Eugene ends up talking about how masturbation is actually good for you because there's some kind of refractory period. Andy asked Damon about the refractory period, and Dr. Damon says that it's true. For some men it may be shorter, and so for some men it may be longer, and the masturbation is supposed to help with prostate cancer. And Eugene is talking about, well, I'm just trying to not get prostate cancer, because y'all do know a lot of black men, they end up with that in older age. So Andy ends up asking Damon to explain his claims on infidelity, marriage, and why is it different when a woman cheats on a man than a man cheating on a woman. And Dr. Damon just said, well, I said how I really felt. I didn't just say what I said, just because we was on TV. That's how I really felt. I feel like if a man gets cheated on by his woman, that he would leave her, and then maybe the woman is probably more or less likely to forgive, which I kind of believe too. I do not feel, though, that a man should just leave his woman because she cheated. But Andy ends up asking him, so what would you do if Heavenly cheated on you? And Dr. Damon was saying, well, you know what? I probably would leave, but I really don't know until I'm in that situation, because I really do love Heavenly. And you guys, I really love listening to Dr. Damon talks. He talks with so much maturity, and he's an intellectual, and he just seems like such a gentleman. And even my boyfriend, we were sitting up watching the show, he was like, I like that dude. He seems real smart and cool, and Dr. Damon, he has that going for him. So shout out to you, Heavenly. How you doing, girl? You got you a good man, girl. So now all of the cast is back together. The husband joins the wives, and Mariah and Aiden, they're back on the couch. And Andy asks Mariah how she's doing. And she said, I was a bit bothered by what she did, but, I'm okay now. And then he asks Heavenly, is there something you need to say to Mariah? And I'm thinking Heavenly is going to apologize. But she was like, no, I don't have nothing to say. And, my whole thing is, if Heavenly is not sorry, then why is the bitch apologizing? Like y'all always say, she's not really sorry. You know what I'm saying? So what's the point in her really apologizing? But yes, Heavenly, you was wrong. So just get a girl a quick sorry and let's keep it the fuck moving. But Mariah was really bothered, by her drawing on her picture. And so they end up going back and forth, getting all loud. The men are getting all anxious. Simone ends up getting into it with her loudmouth ass, because I think Mariah had made the statement that all the girls, because Heavenly did that to her, all the girls pretty much just take up for Heavenly. They don't really have Mariah's back. And I think Mariah feels, alone in the group, like nobody has her back. But shit, Toya got your back, girl. So they all do all of that. And the shit was getting on my nerves. Andy was getting annoyed. And, they had to end up calming all them down and moving on. So Andy takes a question from somebody online, and the girl pretty much implied that, Curtis, why did you do what you did to Jackie. You know, it seems like you wanted to get caught, and you know, like, why would you do that? You know, all these millions of people was watching the show, and Curtis just ended up saying, you know, I wasn't thinking, and I made a mistake, and we're doing the best that we could. We're doing the best that we can to repair our marriage, which is a good answer, because I feel like everybody keeps going back into what Curtis did. And yes, Curtis was wrong. But at the same time, this Curtis and Jackie situation isn't just about cheating. You know, Curtis had asked Jackie for quite some time to spend time with him and to make time for him. Stop coming in the house charting and doing all this work related shit. Really, you know, because I just feel like this. Jackie, if all you want to do is do your job, then just do your job. You don't need to be married. And that's fine. But that's the truth you need to tell yourself. I don't believe in being married to somebody and then they're on the back burner. Yes, you have this job and it's very demanding, but you need to make time for your spouse. That's point blank, period. Whether you're in a relationship or a marriage. Andy asked Jackie, does she trust Curtis? And she seemed like she started to say yes, but she ended up saying, you know what, I'm learning to rebuild trust. Andy asked, did she still have the Louis Vuitton bag that Curtis got her? And she said, yes, I still have that bag. And him going out shopping and buying me things, you know, that was kind of a big deal for Jackie, because Jackie said that Curtis doesn't like to shop at all. So for him to shop and get her the things that she likes, that was a step in that direction, because at least he was coming out of his comfort zone and it was something different from what he normally does. Andy asked Jackie, did she withdraw the divorce? And Jackie stated that yes, you know, I guess they got their withdrawal papers and they signed them, and you know, so they are no longer getting a divorce. They truly are working on things. Curtis is upstairs with Jackie. I believe he's back in that bed. Jackie, you know you wanted some dick, honey. It's okay. It's okay to want some wiener. I knew it wouldn't be too much longer, y'all, because you can't have no in-house in the house and you ain't getting none. I mean, I'm just saying, that's like having some chocolate cake and you love chocolate cake and the motherfucker in your house and you ain't eating it, but you know. So lastly, we talk about Dr. G and Quad's marriage. So they show all these clips, you guys, of Dr. G acting a fool, falling to the floor. And I saw his ass. He was trying to look if the cast was laughing. They was just looking at his ass. Dr. G, when you fell on that ground, I cracked my ass up. Funny shit, but you is acting a fucking fool. You know, so they play all these clips of them arguing. And the cast, you know, they just look really sad that their marriage is at this point. Andy asked Quad what happened since filming stopped, because the last time they filmed, Quad was telling the cameraman to shut this shit down. I'm done with this shit. She walked out on Dr. G. And Quad says it's more of the same. And my issue with you, Quad, you another one, why would you still be with somebody and you know that there's nothing there? So it's weird. It's almost like there's something more going on in their marriage. Quad says sometimes they have some okay days, but a lot of times she's leaving just to prevent an argument. And like I just fucking said, that's the same shit you've been doing. You need to let this go. You know you are not interested in this man no more. You need to let it go. Andy asks Quad, what does she need from Dr. G? And she just says, unity. I need to feel like we are one. I need to feel like he has respect for me, honor for me, love for me. And I don't feel like I'm getting those things. Andy asks Dr. G, you know, how does he feel about what Quad is saying? And of course, Quad had mentioned she felt unappreciated. And Dr. G said, I have did nothing but try to show her appreciation. You know, he gets off into, you know, the material things that he's bought her, a Range Rover, a diamond encrusted Hublot, and, you know, that was a big deal for him because at first he wasn't buying her those things, and Quad was complaining about that because I guess she dated guys that bought her a lot of material things. So I think Dr. G thought that that would make Quad happy, but Dr. G, you have to give her credit for things. I believe she had mentioned how she was cleaning your offices and getting your office and shit together so you can see your patients, and he didn't really give her credit for that. And even Eugene was just like, listen, man, just let her, I could tell with the facial expression Eugene had on his face, he was looking like, dude, just be quiet, just let her have that. You know what I'm saying? And Dr. G, he wanted to keep arguing. And he's just like, well, listen, she can't be up here lying. She has to tell the truth on how I've helped do a lot of different things too. So that is an issue in their marriage. This issue is all about money. I think Quad got with him because he had more money than her. Now that she's making her own money, I truly believe she feels like she doesn't need him. And Andy asked Dr. G, what did he want from Quad? And he had said, Sunday dinners, like how it is when I go to Simone and Cecil's house with the family, some kids to share that with, that's pretty much all I wanted. I wanted to be a family man, and, I never got that. And then Dr. G also mentioned that they used to have a really good time when they used to hang out with Mariah and Aiden. And Mariah had been over there, making faces, and I believe she knows Quad more than anybody on the stage. So Mariah ends up saying that she feels like Quad needs to learn to listen to her husband, because from the outside looking in, it's all about what Quad want. And, and Quad doesn't know how to be, it's not 100% Quad's fault, but I definitely was here for what Mariah said, because I really understood what Mariah was saying. She was saying it's about what he needs to Quad. It can't be all about you. And I'm just hearing all about you. And Dr. G agreed with that by shaking his head. Andy asks Quad, why she is blocking Dr. G. Matter of fact, Dr. G mentioned how Quad blocks him, and Quad was just like, let's address that. I block you because when I do answer the phone, all you want to do is yell and scream. So I block you because I'm letting you know you're not willing, you don't really want to talk anyways. You want to yell and scream, and I can understand that because I'm not trying to discuss anybody with anybody yelling at me. So I understood Quad on that. Andy is pretty much looking at Quad like, why is y'all still together? I mean, it just seems like you guys are in such a bad place. And Quad was like, I admit, we have a tit for tat relationship. It's a lot of petty Betty shit going on. And I mean, it's just horrible. Both of our egos are out of control. So I like how she took responsibility and admitted that, she's wrong too in that sense. Mariah had also mentioned that, Quad, she needs to listen to her husband. It doesn't seem like she listens. And Andy asked Quad, because Quad had mentioned, well, my husband is not emotionally in tune with me. And Andy was like, well, do you feel like you are with him? And she said, no, I admit I have shut down. So my thing is, why are y'all still together if you are emotionally shut down? And Mariah made a good point when she said that, Quad, people are saying that you don't even like your husband. What signals are you sending him that you don't even like him? Because they had showed some clips. Do you guys remember when they was in Barcelona and he was trying to hug her, come up behind her? She looked so uncomfortable. She was not feeling him. I done been in some relationships, you guys, and anytime your man is trying to grab or touch on you, you don't want to fucking be bothered. It's nothing there anymore. So quiet, you have shut down, honey, and that's that. Anyways, Dr. G ends up going into this story of, you know what, it's a lot of stuff going on in our marriage. And Quad said, yes, it's a lot of stuff you guys don't know about. I don't know if I'm interested in sharing all that. And Dr. G was like, well, let's just put it out on the table. And he ends up going into this story and it cuts him off. And it sounds like him and a buddy had, I guess, got with some girls at a hotel, and then we will get the rest of that story in part 3. All right, you guys, that is my Married to Medicine review. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It was a wonderful review. I'm going to be sad to see this show go, but part 3 will be back next week. All right, y'all. It's your girl, Brand New, and I'm out.